But of course, I want to start with, and I think the introduction was made already, at least for me, by Nick, because he presented so well this create, and it's all about decentralization, and the word or a keyword or a key phrase stuck out for me, this self-governance, right, which is, I think, very much enabled by decentralization. And I wanted to ask you what is that, but I hope I will get an answer from from our panel here. And so I would like to introduce the panel first. We have with us Alexey Potapov, who is the Chief AGI Officer at SingularityNET. And actually, he is deep into the AGI research, one of the top scientists in the known universe in this area, as also Dr. Ben Goertzel acknowledged this morning. And of course, what I'm interested to find out from him, and not right now, but I'm interested to find out what is, is decentralization hindering his work on AGI? Or, is it like a nuisance, or is it something good? And what is his relationship with this decentralization thing? We have with us the CEO of NuNet, who is also a dear friend of mine, and also an illustrious scientist, expert in, I think in everything from philosophy of science to networks to computing to how is that called? Infinite intelligence. So, okay, open-ended intelligence, yes. We have here Henry Wang from Lingo AI, who actually, at least he states that he coined the term Web3, and he will tell us about that. So that's why we have a pioneer of decentralization. He is coming from Singapore and is a distinguished guest on our panel. And of course, we have our Chief Science Officer at SingularityNET, Matthew Ikle, who is also an academic and mathematician. And he is grappling with decentralization more hands-on. So my first question is a kind of generic one about decentralization. So if anyone of you wants to take that, the what, why, and how of decentralization. I think we heard quite a lot about that yesterday and today. But if there's anything that you want to coin about the how, why, and what of decentralization, let me know. If not, I will give you an impulse here, because I think you are doing it.
So, hello. First, I would rearrange the questions.
Okay.
Why?
I was sure our philosopher of science will rearrange the questions. Speak up also.
Yes. So, by the way, the first thing that I wanted to say is that I kind of usually operated on the kind of a principle that when I start to think that I'm an expert in something, that's a sort of indication that I have to change the field. So now I have to start to think whether when somebody else is thinking that I'm an expert, is that also an indication? Regarding rearranging the questions, classically it goes why, then what, and then how. However, I kind of like that you mix them, let's say, because they're actually very much interrelated. However, I sort of like to start to think why from that, let's say, perspective. However, I sort of started to understand that it's just a different perspectives. Some people like to start to think how and then go to why, and otherwise. I
started with what?
With what?
Yeah, just to remind. So what?
Yeah, well,
no, but I agree with the why. I agree.
I'm not sure how to answer what.
But I think the why we already covered. That was the point. That's why I was thinking the what is more, especially up your alley, so because with NuNet, yes, it's more about
I guess
what.
I can answer that from what I'm sort of would emphasize in the decentralization initiatives, related mostly to what Ben was talking about, that supposedly there are two kind of trends. One is self-organization, another is engineering, AGI. However, and he was kind of relating the two. that they basically can somehow interact. And I think the thing that will make these, well, let's say two approaches interact is interface. Data-driven interface between anything that computes anything. So pretty generic thing, which basically can allow us to, I believe, sort of separate logic of the, let's say, AGI architectures from actually the protocols that make them run, and that will allow us to collaborate on a much larger scale.
Wonderful, thank you. And I have to keep you on track sometimes, because I assume from the beginning that your answers will be open-ended, just like the open-ended intelligence. So amazing. Alexey, what do you think? What is your feeling about decentralization? How do you feel about decentralization from an absolute AGI expert perspective? Is it a nuisance?
Well, it's a very broad question, and the answer will be quite long, because there are different aspects of decentralization. And of course, when we are talking about AGI, R&D, AGI architectures, decentralization is a sort of restriction, because when you are thinking about some solution, and well, it can be distributed and can be decentralized, but it can also be centralized, and when you don't need to think about how to distribute it over machines and make decentralized access, it's always easier. And some architectures are less amenable for such decentralization. For example, it's quite difficult to distribute large language models over remote computers and to train them and to do inference. Other architectures could be more amenable for such distribution, but still it's an additional work to make them running on a distributed and decentralized platform. So, of course, from a sort of academic AGI R&D.
And I forgot to say that you are also a professor. So yes, you are an academic.
From this perspective, it's a sort of a burden. But on the other hand, if we are talking about the real world, well, you always have limited resources on one machine. You always have limited resources as human beings performing research and development. And if everything would be very simple, then I would have all the internet in my laptop and wouldn't care about Wi-Fi, wired connections, DNS, and TCP/IP and other stuff. But it's not really the case, right? My laptop is not as powerful as the whole internet, and no single human brain is as powerful as the whole humanity. So if we take this reality into account, then of course doing AGI in a decentralized and distributed way can be actually the necessity, because we do need to have huge data sets which don't fit into one RAM, one computer, and that's why we need a distributed Atomspace, NuNet, and other distributed frameworks. We, of course, should take into account other aspects regarding the AGI creation, like beneficiarity to all the humanity, right? And that's why if we do this in a sort of close form, then it might be not the best thing to do in terms of benefiting all the human beings. That's why, we need to think about how to proceed with the creation of AGI in the most efficient way, not in some sort of abstraction like, well, it would be good if I could live in an ivory tower and have all the resources and time in the world to do the things. But actually, it's not the case, right? So that's why decentralization is very important. It's not only about resources, it's about mitigating risks, because if we take a look at typical dystopian scenarios, then in the most cases, I don't know if they are right or not, but in the most cases, the core of the dystopian scenario is about having sort of omnipotent power in one hands, right? Be it.
No, I agree, but I just want to tell you that you are answering all my questions already. So let's move on also to give the word also to the other. But thank you, because I definitely got your point. Yes, I mean, it is maybe not as easy with decentralized, but it's worth it. I think that's what I got from your answer. Okay, thank you. Before I go to you with another question, Matt, I would like to have a brief view from your perspective as a Web3 pioneer. What do you think about decentralizing artificial intelligence? Because I know that this is also your passion now, decentralized AI.
Thank you. So the web is a way to connect people. And at the very beginning, it's only a way to connect people in a centralized way. Because in the decentralized way, it will be very, very difficult. And the protocols can be very complex. So that's why, based on TCP/IP, we have HTTP and the World Wide Web to connect people. But this simple protocol directly leads to centralization, because the data and application cannot be separated in the Web 2.0 architecture. So that results in data silos. So at the very beginning, and Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the World Wide Web.
Yes, I'm sorry, we will not have time to go.
I will make it simple. Okay. So
I just wanted to also let you know that you have experts in Web3 here, so we all know all these things.
So for about the Web3, so there's two views about. One is from Tim Berners-Lee, who based on like semantic web. So another is coined by Gavin Wood, a blockchain and crypto.
Yes, we know this very well. Yes.
That's why I read the grand unified theory of Web 3.0 and Web 3. They should combine and they should unite as one.
Mm-hmm. But my question then, if you are going on this tangent, and I want a quick answer, and I apologize that I have to keep everybody on track, is where are we with achieving this decentralization? Do you think the world has achieved it?
Not yet.
Okay.
So it's the protocols is just ready. And the products combine these two. The right side and the left side is just ready. Yeah, okay, thank you. So I think this year and next year will be the start of the real Web 3.0. The mass adoption can only be applied in the Southeast Asian countries, Latin American and Africa, because PC era, the first generation in the United States, second generation mobile internet in China, and for the third generation of web, only in the developing countries, from edge to center. And it's important also for AGI.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I completely agree with your take. But what do you think, Matt? So are we achieving it here at SingularityNet? And if so, maybe we can tap into the how a bit? Because that's more your territory.
So, quick answer. I do think we're getting there. The how.
Maybe that's still for Kabir, the how.
Well, I mean, there's multiple answers to that, right? I mean, obviously, NuNet and other frameworks for distributed computation power. That's one aspect. It's a marketplace of services, and those services are also distributed. We've got a number of initiatives, including how to compose and synthesize these services. Even though they're distributed, they can be called upon and used to build larger, more complex services. And I would say that a lot of these initiatives go towards answering that question in the positive. We've got a lot of work to do, but we're making, I would argue, steady progress.
Yes. So, in terms of the question, I mean, which do you think are the biggest difficulties which you are encountering from the technical perspective, or whatever? I mean, architecture, technical.
There are a number of,
and some of them were mentioned already, of course, by Alexey. But yes.
Some of them were. There are a number of technical, difficulties. They're hard problems. They take research. They take testing.
Do you think we really need? Sorry to ask you all these questions, but I think they belong to you. Do you think? I mean, can we achieve AGI, beneficial AGI, without decentralization? And do you think we really need it?
So I'm glad you asked that question. Need is one answer, but I'll use as an example. I think Alexey talked about this in terms of benevolent AGI as well. Distributed systems give a level of transparency. This is especially important when it comes to questions of bias in data. And I'll use biology data as an example. Most data, it historically comes from biased samples. That doesn't mean that one can necessarily have unbiased samples, but if one has transparency about a source of data, one can at least understand and recognize bias.
Yes. So, Kabir, this is mainly for you, but I think it's also for Alexey, but I will ask you first, because you are developing that. Yes. So is technology enough? Do you think technology is enough to achieve the beneficial decentralized AGI? You are the philosopher. It's open-ended intelligence. So that's why I'm thinking maybe we can get an answer from you. No pressure.
Well, that sort of assumes that there is something beyond technology. Yes, thank you. Well, I sort of like to think in this what's called computational metaphor about the world, that the us can be explained through the computational metaphor, and then that's kind of technology or biological technology which evolves over,
and life as a computational process.
Exactly. So it's kind of difficult then to sharply draw a distinction. What's technological, what's not. Especially what we just talked, I think, in the keynotes, that there is extended mind, and we are all extended to our phones, etc., and so forth, and will be even more extended. So not sure.
From the context of open-ended intelligence. Okay, so I better ask this question. I better ask Alexey this question. I mean, do you think we need more than technology to achieve beneficial AGI, in a decentralized way?
Well, first
Not of mathematics, of course.
first of all, I would like to also answer the question you asked, Matt,
Yes.
regarding is it possible or is it necessary to use a decentralized approach towards beneficial AGI? It might be both more difficult or less difficult to create AGI in a decentralized or centralized way, depending on who you are. If you are a big tech company, then it might be simpler to create an AGI in a more centralized way. Of course, there is some philosophy under this. We can say that it's in any case, it's still decentralized in terms of research happening in the world, but it's not what we imply when we are talking about really decentralized AGI. So it's not about just different scientific groups involved in this research and so on. If we consider SingularityNET and ASI Alliance, then it's definitely easier for us to do it in a decentralized way. But if we are talking not about just creating AGI, but about beneficial AGI, then I am sure there are much less risks in doing this in a decentralized way. It might be possible to create a beneficial AGI in a centralized way, but the risks are much higher in this case. As for the technology, it's not only about technology, it's also about architectures, about math, about concepts behind how AGI should be created. There are, of course, multi-agent approaches, but it seems that very separate agents are not enough for achieving AGI. There should be some more tightly connected components, and of course we need, for example, AI DSL, which can make these agents working together in one sort of space or language. So yeah, we still need to develop this sort of technology further in order to proceed towards AGI.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? I had a feeling that there are people who want to say things here. And I will give them the mic. If not yet, I will of course take some questions from the audience very soon, because this question with if technology is enough. We have Rachel here as well, who is developing amazing technologies. But the thing, because I mean, if let's say we are a team here, yes, and I know you, and I know you are good people, and I think we, even centralized, we could develop a beneficial AGI, so that's the thing. I mean, what is actually the ingredient that decentralization is bringing? I mean, do we need it only in a world in which we know that not everybody is a good actor? What would be your take on that? Is it clear what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so whoever feels like it, do you want to say something? Maybe you did not.
Yeah. So decentralization is definitely needed. And it's not about technology issue. It's about the mindset. So, I was in the United States, and from 1999, when I pursued my PhD in astronomy and physics in Northwestern. At that time, the PC internet is very popular and leading the world in the United States. And the cell phone also, actually was popular in the United States. But people there don't need a mobile internet because they need privacy. They don't want anybody to bother them during weekend. And they have a PC at home, and they have a credit card to make payment, so they don't need mobile payment. So that's why mobile internet was not developed and massively adopted in the United States. And it was popularized in China. At that time, it's much behind the United States, right? Technologically. Right? Why? Because they cannot afford a PC at home.
That's one, and because of the mindset in China, if I may, also, because you mentioned mindset. Yes.
So you see, this advanced technology developed from edge, from the underdeveloped countries. So it will be the same for the value internet. But for AGI, the AGI right now have all the data from English, from Chinese, from Spanish. And those data and those foundation model was used by, for example, AI Singapore and a lot of large language models, and in the Southeast Asian countries, they found a lot of bias.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I can see the advantage of decentralization in this regard, of course. Yes, because we need everybody to the table to contribute, because we need every representation from everyone. And that's...
Well, I would like still to emphasize that it's not only about beneficial AGI, it's also about AGI creation. We need the community which can contribute with some ideas, pieces of code, data, and so on, which we cannot do by ourselves.
Absolutely, the community and maybe the AI itself, because now it starts to self-code.
I would follow up. That's an excellent point, and that leads to, again, I'm not sure that I'm sure it could be done in a central way, but one of the big advantages is, for example, crowdsourcing of solutions. And that's as a part of that. That's why we put together a number of fund RFPs, generate crowdsourcing of ideas, of workflows, and development.
So I'm trying to kind of answer the question this time. So
Appreciate. Truly.
The basic decentralization. So why do we need decentralization? Then I believe it's for harnessing the collective intelligence of, intelligent beings in this space that we are, including humans. But I would suppose not only, including those emergent intelligences that we are building or trying to build. Then what's missing is, just making all the perspectives that we have, they are important to bring into the single space. But it's not enough to just put everything into one pot and try to shake it and expect that something will happen. So what's needed is basic coordination mechanism in order to coordinate those perspectives or interacting intelligent agents, let's say, in order to get the collective intelligence. Collective intelligence is not automatic from the richness of perspectives. And then I think we get to this, what you were mentioning in your talk, Ian McGilchrist, I think this is how you pronounce it. So you have basically this left brain, which is wise and open-ended and kind of...
definitely your brain, Sergey and Alpina, if you want to answer, I think they're in the break. they were in the break.
My question is, how does scaling of Hyperon have to do with decentralization? That's another way to
That's for you.
Not exactly. I would just like to say that decentralization should not necessarily be related to Web3 in this technical case. That's all. So the distributed Atomspace, for example, is distributed over multiple machines without micropayments on chain payments. Right? So we are solving this in one way. In this case, when it makes sense to have payments on chain for services which are developed by different people, and they have this capability of making payments to each other, then it makes sense. And the overhead, which is due to the blockchain nature of this technology, it's basically worthy in terms of what it provides in terms of organizing stuff in such a way that it can work. And there are also other technical solutions to this, which Ben mentioned in his opening talk, like ledgerless blockchains. But I'm not an expert in blockchains to answer this in detail. But my point is that decentralization in case of Hyperon is done whether with the use of Web3 or not, depending on when it makes sense or not, right?
Yeah. So for the Web3, if you only mean blockchain and crypto, yes, it's slow. But the Web3 is not completely built on the blockchain and crypto. And also for blockchain, there's second layer, layer 2, from the Lightning Network, and also roll up. It can be very fast. And I don't think like all the data will be stored on the blockchain. So I think the whole architecture can be as fast, almost as Web 2.0. And the Web 2.0, 5 years later, will be only middleware for Web 3.0. Because in Web 3.0, everyone will hold their own data. It's not only social data, all kinds of the data. And they authorize to applications. So that called decentralization. And based on this architecture, all the data will form the global decentralized marketplace. So that's called Web3. That's called a web of data called Web3.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And because we are out of time, I think we can take the questions and comments outside, including with, and we will include Sergey and Albina into the conversation because it's clear when it comes to technology, they are our experts. Thank you so much for these perspectives, because this is, I'm happy that we didn't have them on the panel, because these are, like different perspectives from the field, from those who really work on the network, on the decentralization network, on the AGI itself, beneficial AGI itself, and the interface with the platform, and of course a wild card on the panel. And thank you so much,
Thank you
Henry,
for having me here.
for joining us. Thank you. Yeah.